Change is one constant life offers us. Sometimes it arrives like a season, shifting seamlessly, and at other times, like a storm, endings, beginnings, and uncertain space in between. In the change, we often meet resistance and grief, yet also the tender possibility of renewal. Welcome back to the Human Weave. I'm your host Yash. While I miss my co-host Rosh, in season 3, Faces of Peace, we are exploring peace in its many forms, which shapes our world, our inner lives, calls us to reimagine ourselves. In today's episode, we are exploring holding peace in times of change. What does it mean to stay grounded when everything familiar is shifting? How do we soften into uncertainty, hold space for loss, and at the same time, open ourselves to becoming? Through stories of personal transformation, identity shifts, and collective upheavals, we'll reflect on how peace is not simply a destination after change, but a companion we can carry through it. This conversation invites us to reimagine change not as a disruption to avoid, but as an invitation into deeper presence, resilience, and self trust. Today, we are joined by Rashmi Bagri, an ICF PCC certified coach, psychologist, and trainer. With over a decade of experience supporting individuals and teams through transitions, Rashmi blends psychology, coaching, and creative practices like journaling and art therapy to help people move from self doubt to self leadership and from burnout to balance. She brings both wisdom and warmth to the theme of navigating change with peace. A warm welcome to Human Wave, Rashmi. We are so glad to have you here in our conversation.
Thank you so much, Yashashwini. I am equally glad and happy to be here and to talk about change, transition, and peace, something that I think all of us are trying to figure out. So I'm so glad to be here.
Very honored to have you on our podcast. Rashmi, can you share a time in your own life where you felt overwhelmed and how you found a sense of peace through that overwhelming situation?
Okay. In fact, there has been multiple times when I have felt overwhelmed, and I have also learned that when you learn to handle your emotions, it's not that this feeling of overwhelming will not engulf you next time again. It will, but possibly you have learned coping strategies, you have learned certain acceptance, certain methods which help you keeps grounded even in that chaos and crisis. So one of the times when I was most overwhelmed was during COVID, when everything changed overnight. I was in the process of physically setting up my center. We had taken a physical place, we had everything ready, and 27th March, I think 26th or 25th March was when the world was shut, and my center launch date was 1st of April. So you can imagine, for me, it was such a huge blow. There was so much of uncertainty. I kept postponing the launch, waiting, okay, it is after 15 days, after a month. But then after a month or so, we knew that we don't know how long this is going to last. Something which had not even started, and I had to shut shop. So for me, that was hugely an emotional moment and very overwhelming, with a lot of fear, insecurity, sadness, hurt, because you're starting something out after years of putting in a lot of thought and your dreams. And I realized suddenly, no, this is not happening. So I have to plan something else. Initially, there was, there's the stages of grief. There was denial, there was anger. And then is when the reality seeps in. And then is where the acceptance, then the creativity starts flowing, and then we start thinking, okay, now what? So if this is not happening, what is the next thing I can do? And I started exploring other avenues, opportunities, and what else I could do. And trust me, so many good things happened, even though my center didn't start, but I got abundance of other opportunities.
Yeah. That's very interesting to hear. Also, I was picking up on the uncertainty. I'm sure COVID was a very critical point for all of us, with a lot of uncertain situations which we are facing for the first time, and we don't know how to handle it. Similarly, like when people face transitions, Rashmi, whether it's a career or a relationship or even something as joyful as becoming first-time parent, what emotions do you see people experiencing most often in such transitions? And why is it important to honor them instead of pushing it aside or neglecting it or ignoring it altogether?
Very beautiful question, Yashashwini. You asked me two questions. What different emotions do people face, and why should we honor them? And I so loved it when you say honor emotions. We most of the time talk about controlling emotions, we talk of managing emotions, and we end up suppressing them. But honoring is accepting. So first, to answer your question, if anybody is going through any transition phase, like a new mom, like changing jobs, like joining another company, or like moving cities. I have done so many moving cities. It is a mix of emotions, because when we shift, the transition is letting go of some things of your past, which is saying goodbye to some old memories, and at the same time, looking forward to some of the new things which are going to come into your life, right? So there is a mixed bag of emotions. There is excitement because you're looking forward to the newness which is going to come into your life, but there is fear because there is a lot of uncertainty. We cannot predict what is going to happen. There is sadness because you're leaving behind maybe a particular identity, maybe a particular role, along with friends, relatives, a certain environment, and hence a sadness. So there is a mix of emotions, and that is why it is overwhelming, because you're engulfed with so many emotions, you can't figure it out. The second part is, and I always say this in my therapy, is this space of moving from one role to another role is like moving from one chapter of your life to another chapter of your life. And this space is where suddenly you are not that identity, old identity, and you are not the new identity yet. So, when I'm shifting jobs or when I'm shifting cities, I'm letting go a lot of my old past friends, names, identities, but I've still not taken up the new identity. So, this space is that is why this space is very challenging, right? And it is a space where a lot of things are happening. There is a lot of chaos around. You're trying to figure things out, and hence it becomes comes up with a lot of emotions, and it becomes overwhelming. So transition, it is not a closure. It is moving from one chapter of your life to the next chapter of your life, with a little phase in the middle where nothing much is happening. It's like a gap in the middle. And that throws up a lot of confusion and a lot of different type of emotions. And that time, sitting with those emotions, as you said, honoring those emotions in that period is important. I have a very simple three pillars or three fundas which I use in all my work. Very important is self-awareness. As you said, understanding these emotions, labeling the emotions. What is it I'm feeling? Why am I feeling? Where am I feeling? Awareness. From awareness comes acceptance. That yes, okay, I am angry because I'm hurt, because I'm scared. I'm leaving this safety, this familiarity, and I'm walking into something which is unfamiliar. And once the acceptance comes in, is where the balance and the calmness sets in. That okay, I don't know this. And from there is where the mindful choices come in, because then seeps in the clarity. So awareness to acceptance leads to mindful choices.
Yeah, that feels like a beautiful equation. I was also thinking about the gap you mentioned from one role or one possible position to another. Should we see it as a bridge, Rashmi, from one to another with the gap where you're processing all of these emotions, where you're not fully living the previous position or the role or moving into the new one? That embodiment, can it be seen as a bridge where you have all these processing done?
Very, very lovely metaphor, and lovely you gave it. It's a bridge between what you have, a lot of roles, identities, to something new. It's a space to reflect, because you will again rediscover yourself. See, in a new city, You will again rediscover the city and you in that city. Who are you here? So it's like again a new identity. But that doesn't mean even from your past you're carrying a lot forward, but you have a chance to reinvent, to rediscover. So when you are leaving one job and you're moving into another job, you take in a lot of learnings and you take the best to this new place. So you can reinvent, saying this is what I did good there, I can continue. These are areas where I needed to work, so I'll bring the better version of myself over here. So it's a bridge. Very beautifully said, Yashashwini. That space is a bridge. It's like standing on the bridge looking at the water flowing and reflecting, using this space to reflect on how to show up to yourself the other side of the bridge with a newness, with more of learnings, with being the better part of you.
Yeah, I feel personally because that gives a smoother transition, seamless transition, rather than seeing as one block, one role. Having bridge gives a smoother transition where you can process.
Yes, absolutely. So change is external, but transition is all the change which is happening inside you, and it is internal. And change is temporary. Today something is changing, tomorrow something is changing. But the transition, the shift which happens inside you is far more permanent. Yeah? And that bridge very beautifully helps you transit, move from one change or settlement to the other.
I was also thinking about grief when you're letting go. Sometimes even the change, which is good, maybe a higher promotion or a new place, those good changes or good transitions sometimes feels very scary as well. So why is that? Is it possibly because you feel happy for the new thing and sad for the old thing at the same time when it's shifting?
So, change and yes, happiness and sadness in a lot of situations do coexist, right? Let's say last day of college, right? There is an excitement and a happiness because you're looking at the next chapter of your life. So there is a lot of happiness. So the last day when we are sitting in college and we are hugging and we are saying goodbye, there's a lot of sadness and leaving behind a space, again a safe space, familiarity. These were all familiar situations for me, and now I'm excited also because I'm going to a newness which is unfamiliar. With unfamiliar, with new, there are risks involved, right? And hence that feeling of fear, because our brain is so used to having things, seeing, being able to predict things. And when we are not able to predict things, when we don't know what is it that's going to come forward, there is where the fear comes in. So sadness and happiness can coexist together. And again, awareness, being aware that I'm going through this, all these emotions, is what leads to acceptance. And that acceptance leads to compassion and creates balance within me. So when I move to the next chapter, I'm going with an open mind that yes, things could be difficult. I don't know this, but I can do this. This is new. I need to give myself time to settle in. And that comes with acceptance and grounding.
Yeah. I was recalling my own college days from school to college and college to a working setup. They say like every ending is a new beginning and it can be a new
Yes,
turning point as well, right?
yes,
So,
yes, yes.
how do you see those opportunities? You were also saying the transition, though it's happening outside, it also
Hmm.
has to be internal. How can one create those opportunities for inner growth in such situations?
So I think very well you said again is how do I perceive this change, the phase of my life as an opportunity to look within, because that the chaos is all outside, right? How do I not take the chaos in, but rather stay grounded, stay more focused and more inside? Now, again, the three pillars which I use, and very simple, is grounding ourselves. When there is too much of chaos happening outside, the chaos can be the noise, the chaos can be, a lot of moving parts outside of us. Like when you are moving to a new job, or you're shifting to a new place. There are so many things you are doing outside. The outside is chaos. But when you start your day, or when you decide that, okay, today is going to be a big day, because there's a lot of movement going to happen, 10 minutes of grounding yourself with a little breath work. One, very little breath work. Journaling your thoughts that day. What is it that you are feeling? Because that is acknowledging all the emotions that you're going through. Very easy. You can just write, yes, today is a big day. It's going to be chaotic. I'm worried. It might not be structured and organized. There could be things that just come up. So I need to be calm, collected, so that I can respond to the situations rather than react to the situations. And that allows me, when I start my day with this kind of setting an intention, staying grounded, then I'm setting an intention again as to how I want my entire day to be. So the outside can be stormy, but inside your winds can still be calm because you've set an intention.
Hmm.
And yes, so taking time to pause. Peace is pause.
With changes, it also takes toll on probably our identity and self-worth, right? So we also think this is who we are in the current
Yes,
situation. And when a new situation comes up, it demands a new us, new version
yes,
of us, or a whole different identity altogether.
correct.
How do we often handle those challenges of who we are and who we are becoming? How do we bridge that?
So if I look at a new mom, right? And here was somebody who was all by herself, maybe, and here you are somebody become a mom where you are now so much more responsible for the other tiny little bundle of joy who's there. You become a mom, and that's a huge, huge responsibility. First and foremost, again, you are the old self with, in this case, an added new responsibility. So it's not like you're no longer your old self. There are some aspects of the old which you are carrying into the new you, right? So again, acceptance, preparedness for any new role or any new identity, even if it is a job shift role, that new identity is very important. Let's look at another one, retirement.
Hmm.
For a whole period of my life, I have been somebody. I was this job, or I was this role. Tomorrow, I'm not going to be this role and this job anymore. Who am I? And what helps me stay grounded here is one, my values. Because external things would have changed, but my values are going to be the same. There might be some shift in some values that you do. The second will be your purpose, right? So when I moved from Chennai to Mumbai, it's been a decade now in Mumbai, but when I moved, for me, it was a whole new city. I didn't know anything what I will do there. What stayed with me was one of my values, which is creativity. And I was like, I will do something or the other. Some work I will do there. And my purpose, that I am here to serve people, to help them with, with help them work deeper with their emotions. So my purpose and my values stayed intact. The city changed, but these two as acted as an anchor for me, which helped me discovering myself and exploring opportunities, and helped me then to transition into the various new roles, work wise roles, whichever came up. So to when you move from one role to the other, your values, your purpose is what helps you anchor.
I'm seeing it as more like the values and the principles act like a foundation. You can build anything on that foundation depending on where it is and how it is. You can mold according to the needs based on the patient.
Yes, yes,
So I was hearing you say you've transitioned to different cities. One of the hardest parts of change we see is the fear of unknown, or the uncertainty that brings in with a new element or a new role or a new city where you have to discover your new self. We fear those uncertain moments and unknown.
yes, yes.
Someone cultivate that calm and composed self where the path is clear for them to take decisions based on the values that you were mentioning.
Yeah, yeah. One thing which I want to say is change is not a closure. It's if we're moving from one, for example, one city to another, and there is a movement and there is a change in cities, it's not like it is a closure to one chapter of my life completely, right? It is a movement. You're moving from one place to another. It's very important first is to give time to yourself to settle down, to allow yourself to accept that some all the emotions, because see, something which is new can lead to maybe some days which is highly stressful, some days when you're just not able to figure out anything, there's frustration. So there are a lot of these negative emotions, and embracing all the emotions, see, resisting leads to persistence. When we resist emotions, they persist. But when we embrace the emotions is when they transform. So even negative emotions, we have to sit with that emotion, with that. It's okay to cry out of frustration also, because nothing is making sense. I'm a new mom. Suddenly I have the baby to look after. I am tired. I have not slept. And everybody else seems to be doing their own thing. I am the only one who feels for some time stuck, and I'm expected to look happy, I'm expected to be smiley, whereas it is very difficult. So it is okay if you're going through these kind of thoughts, sit with them. First accept I am tired. So there is one secondary emotion, one primary emotion, one emotion which is surfacing, one which is not surfacing, which is below. So you are angry, you are frustrated, but maybe inside you are just tired, right? So, first, labeling your emotion. That is very simple. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling? When I ask myself, why am I getting so snappy at everybody? Then you will say that's because I'm very tired, or that's because I'm very hurt. And then when this seeps in, and then you realize, okay, then is where the understanding, the acceptance comes in. So awareness, labeling your emotions leads to acceptance.
Mm,
That leads to calming yourself down.
mm,
And trust me, only when we are a little calm, when we start thinking, when those emotional clouds settle down, we start thinking logically. Otherwise, we are thinking emotionally, we are taking emotional decisions, we are on an emotional autopilot, where we are only doing everything based out of emotions. So this grounding technique, very simple. We have this 5 4 3 2 1 exercise, which is very simple, easy, you can do it. We have so many apps which has breathing exercises, guided breathing exercises, right? And the most important thing is your self narrative. What is it you are telling yourself? I can't do this, I can't, this should not happen to me, why is this happening to me? So check the narrative. Your self narrative either fuels fear or fosters courage.
mm.
So when you say I can't do this, to saying okay, I'll figure it out, and I have support, and I will ask for help. So all these things helps me stay a little grounded. And
Yeah, I love that when you said not fight against it, but sit with that and deal with it. I was also thinking about three A's that can possibly come in: awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance. To be aware of what is happening. This is what is happening to me, and then acknowledge it. Okay, it can happen as a human being. This is what I can feel. Then comes the acceptance that, okay, this is what it is, then what and how do I deal with that and move forward
correct.
rather than being stuck with the same
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. In fact, in my therapy sessions, I also say, jealousy is also an emotion. Please understand. If I am feeling jealous, let me accept it. Instead of suppressing or labeling myself, I'm a bad person, I'm jealous. I would say figure out why that jealousy and what is it you can do about it. If you are feeling guilty, how do I change it and lead it to being more responsible, maybe? So all emotions are there for a reason, and accept all of them, because we are human. We will go through all emotions. In fact, in my sessions, when I start with an emotional check-in, I also say it is okay. You will not be feeling anything right now. You must be feeling neutral, because this is a space where you've just logged in. You are listening to me, and actually you're not feeling any such emotion. So neutral is also something that you could be feeling. And I also say one more thing is our emotional vocabulary is very limited. We say, I'm feeling fine, I'm feeling happy. But happiness has shades. like a childlike excitement, or
Mm.
a little joy of sipping that tea. Contentment. Today my session went really well. I'm content because I think I delivered well. But we only say I'm happy.
When you're saying about happiness, I was listening to one of the conversations on YouTube, and the speaker was saying we always crave for that happiness. But what we have to realize is life is just not happiness. We have other emotions as well, and we need to experience it well. We need to sit with all the emotions, whether you're happy, you're sad, and be okay with all of the emotions, not just happiness, the destination for everything. So, how do you think about this perspective of sitting through emotions, any kind of emotions, not just the good emotions? In fact, there is no a label as good and bad emotions. Emotions are emotions.
Yeah, emotions are emotions. It's not a label as good or bad emotions. It is the way it is impacting us and we are impacting others is what makes it negative. Happiness brightens our face. Joy makes us feel lighter. We are positive. We are uplifted. We are optimistic. And anger or sadness or jealousy depletes our energy and we feel withdrawn. We don't want to talk to others. And that is when we label it as good or bad. Number one. Number two, positive psychology says this very clearly. It doesn't say that when we are seeking happiness, it doesn't negate the presence of so-called these negative emotions. It very clearly says that there are all these emotions and we have to allow yourself to acknowledge and experience all the emotions. So if you want to cry, it's okay, cry, vent out everything. If you are, how you experience now, when doesn't mean if I'm angry I'll yell at people always, then that the way you are expressing is not healthy. So, in a healthy way, expressing your emotions. And if all the time I want to only feel happy, that is what we call toxic positivity. So, I'm suppressing, I'm not acknowledging those negative emotions which are coming up. I'm saying, no, I'm fine, I'm good. I have to be happy. I have to be happy. We don't have to be happy. It is acknowledging all these emotions when we sit with them, when we label them, when we understand them, is what leads us to feeling calm, neutral, joy, compassionate, and happy. So, yes, I totally agree. It is all the emotions.
How does one cultivate that self compassion themselves, wanting to reroute from the conditioning and rewire it again?
One thing I have learned is self compassion is again something, like every day we are dusting, because when we are cleaning, the dust accumulates again. The same way we have to work with our emotions every time. It's not like I've spent 15 days worked around all my emotions, now it's everything is going to be perfect or fine. So every now and then is where we need to remind ourselves to be kind and compassionate towards ourselves when we have made some mistakes. I'm not saying that if you made a mistake that means you stop correcting yourself, but harshly telling ourselves that no, you can't do, you're good for nothing, tumse nahi hoga. You say, yeah, okay, I made a mistake, it was a huge mistake, I should have asked for help, maybe I didn't do, or I should have prepared better. So take the learning from that experience and tell yourself, let me now bring the better version of myself. So work on yourself. That for me is self compassion. Where you take the learning from whatever situation has happened, be kind to yourself, saying that, okay, it was a mistake, accept it, and move on. Second is, again, this is something we have to keep doing it. It's like a ritual, like breathing exercise or a ritual. Journaling helps us really stay grounded. Because when we are journaling and putting all our thoughts on paper, even as a ritual, if I'm journaling, it is a way of being kind to yourself, where you have a ritual set to speak to yourself. And when you are speaking to yourself, sometimes, there are patterns which come up and you see certain patterns where you've been harsh. Sometimes we can scold ourselves. I'm not saying that stop scolding yourself. Being kind to yourself, because most of the time we are very, very critical. So I will say that it is a process and you have to keep doing it every now and then. It's like the dust which has to be removed every few days, because no matter how much we clean, the dust comes back again.
I love the analogy of cleaning it on a daily basis. Like we groom ourselves externally on a daily basis. Do we do that internally as well? Is something that people have to look at their own takes on how they're cleaning themselves
Yeah.
internally. One practice that has helped me personally is the mirror self talk,
Yeah.
inner voice that keeps coming, saying that I'm not enough, or maybe I'm not good enough, or any kind of negative conversations or narratives that can pull me down with not progressing forward. Similarly, what specific habits, tools, or tips that you want to give from your experience where people have seen uh, good results, staying grounded in unpredictable changes in their life?
Yeah. Very simple. I'm a huge believer and promoter of journaling because it has helped me a lot. It is a very simple, freely available tool. You don't have to do. I also tell people use journaling as pre therapy, because therapy, and especially with talk therapy, lot of times you are not, I see clients are not able to come up with the right responses because they have not spent time in talking to themselves. So there's a lot of where they don't know much about their emotions, their situations. So I say first do the journaling, because you will get used to talking to yourself, you will get used to explore yourself first, then come to the therapy where deeply the exploration can happen. So the first thing is take time to be with yourself and your thoughts, stillness. So mindfulness, something like even when you're having your morning tea, just sit with you and the tea. Just sit and see outside the balcony for some time, which in positive psychology we say savoring. So savor the now the rainy weather with the mitti ka smell. So savoring, that is what you know if I can say that helps us stay grounded. It makes us alive. That savoring, smelling the tea, that coffee, savoring it. Um, when you're drinking that coffee, do things mindfully. Be with yourself and do a little journaling. Close your eyes when you're traveling. Try to be with yourself, even if it is a noise, in the traffic noise. That small little, children playing somewhere can bring a smile on your face. So look around you instead of the phone. Look around you, savor all that which is happening around. Be mindful when you're traveling. Today we believe only in multitasking. I also tell people that when you're traveling, do listen to a little of a TED talk or a podcast, but I also tell them that be with yourself. When in a day have you been with yourself? When in a day have you allowed yourself to get bored? None of us allow ourselves to get bored because we have so many distractions today. I think getting bored was lovely. Go for long walks. All these things is what helps us to, these small rituals. We do not have to do anything super expensive. And last but not the least is, if you're finding exploration with yourself difficult, if it is throwing up too much of emotions and you're not finding it difficult to handle, talk to somebody, talk to a professional. Then you can go for therapy, a couple of sessions to figure out if therapy is something you need and what kind of therapy you need. There are so many different ways of figuring out yourself. So give it a try and figure out. And therapy is one. Then go for therapy. So
Mm.
this is what I would say.
Yeah, that's amazing how journaling can act as pre-learning about self. I was thinking about what common mindsets do people have that you've
Yeah.
noticed, where they navigate it very gracefully,
Hmm.
not with fight, not with resistance, but having that change very gracefully as if it was made for them.
See, I don't know gracefully. I think change does, it is messy. It's like finding a method in that madness. finding a method in that chaos. And I think when you are able to find that method and come out of it, that is graceful, because that is messy. Let us first admit, change is messy, and it will be messy. We will be overwhelmed with emotions, and everybody will have a different journey of coming out of that situation. So if your journey has been a little more messier, it is okay. The point is, you have figured your way out of it. I will say, don't get stuck in that messiness. No matter how much time it is taking, it is okay. Come out of it. So whether it is your breakup, everybody has a different journey of coming out of the breakup. How much time you will take? I have people who say ki, I have to be up by so much time, and I say I can't decide that. I don't know if you can't. It will take, it's a journey. For some people it happens very fast, for some it doesn't, it takes time. So I think that coming out of it is far more important than the process. So it is messy. Let us acknowledge it and just let us try what best way, what are my anchors, and how do I come out of it.
Also, one thing that can add to self compassion is not comparing, right? So, everybody has their own timeline that they can heal. Somebody can heal faster, somebody can heal later, taking more time, depending on what they have been through.
Yes, we all are unique. We have our own stories, we have our own situations. Today comparison has fueled everything. There's so much comparison everywhere, and as individual, as human beings, we are always evaluating ourselves to with other people. That is a human nature, it's our nature. We are always evaluating ourselves against the other best individual. Today I think that comparison mode has increased a lot, right? But we have to understand that we all have different life situations. We all have different life stories. Each of our journeys are different. We are dynamic human beings. And if my journey is different, the time that one person takes will be very different to the time the other person takes. It is unique to us. And also, I think the effort that an individual is putting to come out of that situation. Who is putting how much effort?
Mm.
Who is taking how much help? I, in my, for example, coaching sessions, I see there are some who show up no matter what, who are more, who bring a lot more of themselves in the session, who very seriously, diligently take care of the actions that they need to take between the sessions. So the shift we see there is massive. Whereas there is somebody whom we have to nudge, keep nudging, keep pushing. So then the transition, that transformation, that change may not come up so easily, may not happen, may not, we may not be able to see it. So it also on the individual how much effort you are putting, because finally it's up to you, it's up to me. All the
Mm.
resources are available, but it's up to me what I'm doing with the resources, how consistent and I am, how much effort I am putting, because I want to bring that significant change in my life. That is,
I can see two layers of this. In fact, the vulnerable state of yours where you can sit through your own shadows and then take it to a professional with awareness that these are my shadows and I'm willing to work on it, and put that consistent effort on working through it will lead to change very gracefully.
it is not, and yes, how do I show up? Because it is not easy to face our fears, Yashashwini. It's very
Mm.
difficult to face our fears, and that is why we take a step back. Maybe we're not prepared then to face that fear. But if you're consistently trying in some way or the other to face that fear, we will be able to then come out of it. And as you said, come out of it gracefully. But it is not easy to face our fears. It is not easy to break, admit, acknowledge certain identities of us, which has been working for me all this while. And
Mm.
suddenly I realized that no, actually, I thought that this particular belief system of mine was my friend, but now I realize no, it's actually not my friend. It's because it has been pushing me back. And to break out of that and come out and face the new you is not easy. It is difficult. And but yes, as you said, vulnerability, sitting with those shadows, acknowledging it, and having the courage to face it, with the help, with whatever help you need, is what makes it graceful.
It's more like having that intention that I want to have the change
Yes.
and taking those little baby steps towards it.
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
think that makes the difficult path easier in willing to change?
Yes, absolutely. And they always have to be baby steps. Again, especially when we see therapy, you know, if you see when somebody goes for therapy, there is some therapy shopping happening because you would be
Mm.
going to multiple therapists and you would say, no, it didn't work out. This person like this person like that. And then there'll be a break. Then you will again go start therapy because you realize that, yes, you do need help, right? And so these are also baby steps, right? And then you realize, okay, let me attend some session, let me go listen to somebody's talk, let me listen to these podcasts. These are also baby steps because you're figuring out your way. I always say, figure out what is working for you. For me, journaling works the best, but that came to me after I tried couple of things. So try couple of things and see what is helping you, and then hold on to that, and then take the next step and the next step and the next step. So yes, baby steps. It cannot be a leap and trans magic. There, nothing magical is going to happen. It will take a while. One fine day, something will snap. So baby steps. Every step you take is bringing some awareness to you.
Yes. And it has to be internal also. Just because they come to a professional, they cannot expect the answers and the solutions fully from the professional. It has to be just the support for their own internal process.
Absolutely. And that is why those in between sessions that we say is so important, because you're reflecting, you are taking action. If you are not taking action, if you're not implementing, if you are not consistently working, then nothing magical is going to happen, even in the session, after the session, afterwards also. So one has to, finally, I am responsible for myself, Yashashwini. And that is what we need to understand. Nobody else is here responsible to make your life happy and happening. You have to make your life happy and happening.
Yeah, very true. Is there any story or the transformation that you have witnessed, which was a difficult transition to a more meaningful and joyous outcome, which is stuck to your memory of experiences?
I don't know if it was exactly difficult as such, but let me tell you one thing. So I had one of a client, who came for therapy, and she was preparing for some very important part of her life, and she came for therapy, and the environment from where she was coming was a very chaotic environment. See, our environment is very important. I can be in a very chaotic, abusive environment and very easy to fall into feeling of helplessness, feeling defenseless, giving up, that I've tried and nothing is happening. I can't do because my environment is like this. The people in my life are like this. You always are fighting with the environment and saying, no matter how bad the environment is, I have to get out of here. So I am going to seek help, support from all those people who can help me come out of this. It is the physical environment and it is your mindset, because you might leave the physical environment but you might be carrying it somewhere else if it is still there in your mind. So here was this client of mine when she came. So what I liked and what I found courageous was coming from this environment, and there's a lot of courage to show up. It calls for a lot of courage to go and take therapy, right?
Yes.
Even when you've come for therapy, you might have faced a difficult situation, a little argument at home, and still you have shown up for therapy. And I saw consistently she used to work on herself. Whatever actions we would say, she would take care, do that. She would make effort from her side to bring that. And then I saw her coming out doing extremely well for that chapter of hers for which she was preparing. And for me, that was courage. Showing up at the worst time, showing up for yourself, showing up to your commitments, even though it is not a great day, it is a bad day, and you are not responsible for that bad day. Somebody else is responsible and created that bad day for you. But you have said, I am going to show up. I think when you show up in the days when you are least prepared, is for me therapy, is for me, making vulnerability your strength, like Brené Brown says. For me, this is making vulnerability your strength. And there I saw transition. I saw shift. I saw this girl winning. Yeah. So it is not always the outcome, is what I learned with this client. I saw the process, that I
Mm.
say every day when you're showing up, you are winning. So it is no longer the outcome, whether how this thing turns out for which you're preparing, but that you're showing up every day, that is resilience. And you are already a winner. For me, you are already a winner. And I
Yeah.
learned so much from her. And I learned so much anyways from all my clients, but this was such a huge learning for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they say, the first step, the initiation in whatever you want to do is half work done. The rest half work is what comes afterwards. Showing
Yeah.
up is like first win altogether.
So we all start strong. What we have to do is end strong.
Mm.
Don't just start strong, end strong.
Yes, yes, very true. Like we were mentioning, we have our own methodologies which can work for us. For me, drawing mandalas is one of the methodologies that I use to cope my emotions or process my emotions, along with the self-talk and journaling. You have been often a fan of journaling and the creative practices like art.
Yes.
How do you think people can integrate such practices to begin with?
Right. Right. So I always say, one, different people express themselves differently. Right. Usually, the limitations that people have with journaling is, I should be good at writing. So I'm like, no,
Mm,
we're not going to be an author. That is not the intention. In fact, I also tell them, don't even start writing sentences. Write one words on a sheet of paper, just like a mood check. Just write one word. Be, I'm feeling low, I'm feeling down. Then answer the next question. Okay, what is it I'm feeling down about? There's something called morning pages in journaling, which is just dumping early morning, sit down, and all that comes to your mind. Even your that day's program, what you're feeling at that point, what your dreams, your aspirations, your hopes, the funny little silly me part of us. All of us have a silly me in us. I say put it all there on the paper. That is unstructured, right? And very important, after you've put everything there on that paper, it is only for your eyes. It is that part of you which you have allowed, which you should allow to come out. No judgments, no being critical. Let one part of you be self, non totally non-critical. Just put it there on paper. So that is one way that people can do. One, just put small little words. Doodling, for some of them who are more who would like to express through making some small flowers, small leaves, a little cloud. Do a little doodling. Put one word in that doodling if you want. For some, just use uh, colors, free flow of colors. Just free flow. Which color you want to put, any, just go with the flow. Which color you want, and fill it on paper, then fill it with words to give it a little more shape and meaning. So these are a few things you can do. Only words. Use colors, use doodling, use mandala coloring, which calms us down, like you said. Do zen tangles. Do all this collage making. So, just sit and do this as a family. Make a collage with words, pictures, do collage making. This is all calming down exercises. And this is how you can start your journaling. And then you can go into more structured journaling. There are so many journaling guided books available. I have so many journaling books freely available. I give access where people can go and download a lot of e-journals, a lot of simple one sheets which you can use. So that is where I think they can start, because I think you owe it to yourself. We all owe this to ourselves. It is our responsibility to adapt and adopt one single simple ritual to help us stay grounded. Today, the world needs a lot of kind, grounded people. Most
Mm.
of us are in a reactive phase. We need more calm, collected, grounded people. So be one of them and spread it out.
Beautifully said. I think when we are kind with our own selves, that's how we can be kind with others as well. Also, I was relating it to taking self as priority, which
Yes.
is often considered selfish by most of them, especially during transitions, especially for men who's transitioning to new phases of life. How do you see that?
Like I'm going on with, let's say, some kind of transition phase that I'm going through. Let's say, for example, leaving your full time job to moving into an entrepreneurial space. Okay, like
Mm,
I did that. I left my full time and I decided I want to be on my own. And suddenly you realize that, okay, you don't have a to do list, you don't have a calendar, you are no longer the I am the job role. I am now, who am I? What am I? How do I position myself? What should I do? So at this time, when I am a bundle of emotions, I am overwhelmed with emotion. I am like a live wire. Okay, anything that touches me, I'm going to, there will be a spark, right? Do
yeah.
we want, and do others also want this bundle of emotions who's like a live wire, which we through there's a spark, or it is better you take some time out, unbundle the emotions, and you become more calm, composed, where you are no longer a live wire, but when you plug in, you brighten the space around.
Mm,
So, even if that calls for being selfish, it is not selfish because it is not just you, but you will brighten up the space around you also. Number one. Number two, when we say be selfish, we are not saying be individualistic. We still are very collective. We still live with families, right?
mm,
So sometimes you may have to take out yourself completely, really rebuild yourself and put yourself back out there, right?
mm,
But it doesn't mean being selfish means me, me, me. No, no. Being selfish means being a better me and then a we.
mm,
When I say take care of yourself, be selfish, I always have a disclaimer. I'm saying, I'm not saying only me, 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 because we don't want to create a society of isolation. Only me. We are saying me, a better me, and a we.
mm,
Right? So be that ball of sunshine for yourself and for others. For that, if you have to take time out, put your foot down, take some action, take some time out only for yourself to recharge, rejuvenate, work on yourself, do some courses, build up your career, then yes. Because once the outcome is there, then people will see the change and hopefully understand why you took that stand you did.
That's also the pause that we were speaking initially. Have that pause to yourself where you're working on your own issues and then cater to the relationships outside that can be the potential and not damaging the probable relationships.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Looking back on your journey, Rashmi, many people that you've guided, what do you wish you had known earlier about finding peace in the midst of uncertainty?
I would, that's such a beautiful question. I would have loved then to have that me time. I would have loved had I taken out time where I could put myself outside my life and then see it, not see it as playing that role, but taking myself out of my life and seeing it would have given me a lot more clarity. And I would have then made some more mindful choices rather than choices which just came out. And, I would have created more choices for myself. So I wish I would have spent some time in getting to know myself better then. That would have helped made some, maybe things would be a little different. Not that now how things are, it's great. But if I had learned those practices then, it would be, I think, yeah, that would be great.
We often do that for others, right? Seeing it from the outer perspective. If we could do that to our own selves, witness our situations, not live with it, we will get a different perspective probably. Coming to close of our conversation, Rashmi, I have my last question for you. If you could offer one piece of guidance to somebody standing on the edge of a major life change moment right now, what would that
I will tell that take time, very important to reflect, very important. Reflect, and reflection should not be in your mind, it should be on the paper. Because when you put things on the paper and you're able to see everything out there, it helps you again. It helps, as you said, awareness. There's a lot more awareness. It helps you acknowledge your life situations. Maybe it is not as bad as you are seeing once it is out on paper. Maybe you get to see more options and alternatives. So there is a lot of acknowledgement and acceptance, which helps you then make choices, right? So I will tell and use these practices of breathing. It really helps. Whatever works for you, whether it is deep breathing, whether it is just going for long walks, whether it is listening to soothing music, whether it is spending time with nature, whether it is just filling the paper with different type of colors, whether it is just going and talking your heart out to somebody. Sometimes we have very crazy friends with whom you laugh for no reason. That is your therapy. Go do that. So do whatever helps you break from those thoughts which are troubling you. Because if you don't, you cannot come to a space where you will start thinking more logically, where you will be able to see the bigger picture. So break that pattern to help you see the bigger picture, and then take action, take your choices.
Yes, that's very beautiful. It also makes that loop of thoughts
Yeah.
that is running on to make it very tangible on paper. To see,
Yes.
okay, this is the only thing which I've been overthinking a lot that I have too much, but maybe it's not. It's just few of them. Thank you very much, Rashmi. With our beautiful conversation on holding peace while navigating change. Your reflections remind us that peace is not something we wait to find after change. It's something we carry with us every ending, every beginning, and also uncertain in between. Like we started our conversation saying, change is the only constant. It has to be on a daily basis. Today's conversation has showed us how to embrace uncertainty, practicing self compassion, and noticing our inner dialogue can transform difficult transitions into opportunities for growth and calm. These aren't just ideas, they're invitations for us to explore within. Thank you very much for joining us in our conversation on peace in transitions. So, as we close, we invite you to reflect for our listeners with few questions. Can you think of a phase in your life where you had to accept change? What feelings arose in you? Second, in what small practice, a mindset shift, or creative act could you try this week to stay grounded during life transitions? Thank you, Rashmi, again for joining us on The Human Weave. May your days be filled with calm, curiosity, and the courage to move through change. Signing off, your host, Yash.